All right. So for the people that just came in here, make sure you sign in and we will have a raffle. We will be giving out 3 free Code Academy subscriptions. So if you're really into getting more coding experience and putting that on your resume, I highly suggest you just sign in. We will have 3 winners, so hopefully you'll be the one of the lucky ones. All right, welcome to our annual Intro to Python workshop. It is beginner friendly. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat. The very first thing we will go over today are comments. If you haven't used this before, pretty much they're just notes of explanations that document lines or sections in your program. People use them so that you have like a small explanation, and if you have like a big code, you can sort of include it just to see what it does and things like that. It's just better for people that are using the program and stuff. There's 2 different ways for you to do comments. You can use hashtags and make single line comments like this one, or you can use single triple quotes. I think that's how it's called. So this is what we use if you're trying to have comments with multiple lines. If you're trying to do this with hashtags, it will not be possible. You have to do it for each single line. You will have to include a hashtag, so something like this. But if you're trying to have multiple lines, you can just do simple single triple quotes. All right, moving on. We have display and output with the print function, and we will go over some functions. More people coming in. Let me let them in and paste this again. More people coming in. All right, display and output with the print function. We use the print function to display output in the program, like the title says. Just for reference, a function is a piece of pre-written code that performs an operation. Python has numerous built-in functions that you can use. There's also resources in the internet that you can find with several functions in case you're interested. There's also a link at the bottom of my code later on. All right, that's okay if you lost connection. All right. So like we have here, I have some examples here. So if I run this, print hello world, if you're trying to print some words, for example, just some sentences and stuff, you will need to use double quotes, and I will go over that later on when I come to data types. There's also another example here, print in-person classes begin this week. We're sad. I know. I hope we would have liked, sorry, we would have liked that they stayed online, but now we have to go back and we're all sad. Here, there's also more examples, Baruch College and the address of our school. So that's pretty much how the print function does. If you have any questions, put them in the chat about that. We're going to move on. So today we're going to go over several data types, and in Python, the very first one we will go over is our strings. And strings are a sequence of characters. Strings, in order for you to make an output in Python, you will need, hold on, one question is fine. Which file are you referring to? You mean my code? Oh, yeah. It can be shared. It can be shared. All right, so like I was saying, going over strings, they are just sequence of characters. They have to be encapsulated using double quotes or single quotes. Both of them work. I have 2 examples. Okay, someone is trying to join in. I have 2 examples here. So one example using double quotes and another example using single quotes. So if we run this, hello world, in-person classes begin this week. We're glad you're here though, right? We're glad you're here. You made it. Let me see. All right. Also, another thing that I have to mention, you can check what data type it is you're using the type function. So it looks like this. And inside of the parentheses, you have to include whatever data you're trying to output or print. So like I said, yeah, we're going to go over several data types. And if you're trying to check what data type it is that you're working on, you forgot, you can just use the type function like this example here. Now, when you run this, your output will give you this line right here, class, and it will tell you, oh, that hello world, that's a string. And that's just like another function that you can use in Python. If there's any questions about that, let me know in the chat. Moving on, our second data type. So we just went over strings. Now we're gonna do integers, and this is like how we use them. More people coming in. I know I'm spamming the chat with the sign-in sheet, but it's really for your good. I swear. We need to track your attendance and the raffle form. All right, so moving on, integers, and we're gonna go over, yes, whole numbers. Then later on, okay, hold on 1 second. Yeah, so pay attention to what people are saying in the chat. You just need two meetings to become a member, and you can unlock new channels on our Discord. Okay, integers. We will go over integers and mathematical operations. So integers refers to counting numbers. They can go from positive to negative, and they have no decimals. For our program, no decimals if you're trying to use integers. They do not need to be encapsulated in quotation marks. So before we went over strings, you do have to include quotation marks. But for integers, you don't. So I have some examples here. We have print 100, print type 100, print type negative 100. And if we run this, this is going to be our output. The first line is just outputting 100. You're not asking for any integers or data type. The second and third lines, they do include the type function where you can see what type of data it is. Okay, so we're gonna go some over simple mathematical operations. We have addition. We just use a plus sign for this. So if we run this example, print 1 plus 1, we're gonna get 2, right? 2, 1 plus 1, 2. We have another mathematical operation is subtraction. We just use minus for this. So if we run this, print 2 minus 1, we get 1, right? 2 minus 1. All right, so we also have division, and we use a slash for Python. If we print this, we get 1.5. And like we've seen before for multiplication, this is the mathematical operation we use, 4 times 2. When we print this, we get 8. Now we have another different mathematical operation called the modulus remainder. Basically, this is dividing 10 by 3. We know that like if you're trying to do 10 divided by 3, you can only use 3 to get 9. So 3 times 3, 9, and your remainder will be 1. So that's basically what this modulus is doing. It's just giving you the remainder. Anyone has questions about this in the chat? Let me check. No questions. Nope. All right. Moving on then. What instance would we use the modulus for? Well, pretty much you're just trying to find the remainder of the operation you're doing. I actually have never done a program where I have to use it currently, or like around these days. I haven't like used this in a long time, but that's pretty much like you're trying to do. Let's see what the chat is doing. I mean, finding, oh yeah. more people coming in. All right, so moving on. Exponents. So it's not multiplication, it's exponents. So we're using 2 instead of 1 this time. And it's just 2 multiplication operators, and they will make an exponent. So if we print this, we get 25, because 5 over 2 is 25. All right, so that's pretty much it for integers and some of the mathematical operations. We're now going to go over data type 3. And yeah, so floats. Floats refer to numbers. They can be positive or negative, which contain decimals. Like integers, they do not need quotation marks. Remember, the only one that needs quotation marks are strings. So I have some examples. Some examples here that when I run, we'll see what we get. So I have print 69.9. Yeah, please fill out the sign-in sheet and raffle. So we have print and the type. And for floats and integers, they also use some of the same similar operations. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Okay, so yeah, here we can use the same mathematical operations that I just went over: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, integer division, modulus, exponents. So if I run this, this is what we get. This is what we get: 6.4 minus 2.0, we get 4.4. 36.5 times 74.2, this is what you get. And we have, yeah, pretty much all of the other lines that got printed doing the same thing that I just covered. Okay. Let's see what else. So, oh yeah, so this print parentheses is just giving me a space. So it's skipping a line. That way you can make your code or your program look, your output look better. So that's why I included, so I can skip lines and not everything is not all together. All right. Moving on. Our data type 4. Okay. We have booleans. So what is a boolean? I couldn't understand it right here. Okay, what is a boolean? A boolean is a logical data type that can only have the values true or false. Yes, this is being recorded. Yeah, like I said, they can only have values of true or false, and they do not need to be encapsulated in quotation marks. So I have some examples here. Print true, type true, false, and the type. When we run this, our output will be the first print, not trim, print, our class, and it's specifying it's a boolean, and for false in the second example as well. All right, so we have some comparison operators that we can use for with booleans. We have equal operator, not equal operator, greater than, less than, which I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this before. Greater than or equal to operator, less than or equal to operator. All right, so if I run this, it's going to determine whether these arguments are true or not. Let's see what we get. Yeah, so the first one is true. 1 is equal to 1. 1 is not equal to 1. 1 not greater than 1, and pretty much explaining. Here, I have a different example using a string instead of a boolean. Milo is not the same as smile, and that's why we're getting false. All right. You can also use logical operators to combine conditional statements. So we have the AND operator, we have OR operator, and the NOT operator. All right, so if we run this, this is going to be our output. Actually, let me explain that. So for AND, these are the instances of how your output would look like. So if you have true and true, it will give you a true output. If you have true and false is still including a false section. So your output will be false. And then for false and false, it will give you false. Then we have the OR operator. If you have true and true statements, it will be true. If you have true or false, because you still can have a section that can work because you're using or, your output will be true. And if you have false or false, it will be false. The not operator is pretty much just giving you the opposite. So if you say not true, it will be false. And if you said not false, it will be true. Let me see. What do we get when we print this? Yeah, pretty much the output, which is also included in the comments. Just for people that haven't done it, our raffle form will be closed at 1:30. So if you haven't filled that out, please, I highly suggest you do so. All right, let's go over if statements. Let me move this out here. All right, Boolean expressions can be used in conditional statements called if statements. Indentation is very important when you're doing if. So if 100 equals 100, I want you to do this. Basically, this is what this code is saying. If this is true, I want you to print this is true. If it's not true, then it will not print anything. It won't include this line of code. It won't output it. So if we run this, we get this is true, which is inside of my parentheses using quotation marks because that's a string, like we covered. So since the condition isn't met, it will not print the desired output. So like I said, 100, it's not equal 100, but we know that it is equal to 100. So if we run this, we don't get anything. So I'm clicking and nothing is being outputted because it's not true. So it's not doing anything. Okay, so the else keyword is an optional statement that catches anything else that wasn't on the previous if. So hold on. So yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for putting that in the chat. So, if we run this, if 100 equals 100, print this is true, else, basically, if that previous statement is not true, this is false. But because this is true, it's going to print the first print function. Else will just be ignored, basically. It will not be included in the output. Okay, if-else statements. So let's see, since 1 is equal to 1, Python ignores the first condition and goes to else. Oh yeah, so like here, like the previous example, if 100 is not equal to 100, print this statement is true, else this statement is false. Let's see what we get. We get this statement is false because 100 is indeed equal to 100. So it's going to go to else and print whatever you're telling your program to do. Okay, moving on. If else statements. What happens if you want to test multiple conditions? So we have, if Scooby is equal to Velma, I want you to print Scooby equals to Velma. If Shaggy is equal to Scooby, then it will print Shaggy equals to Scooby. And then, like the previous one, if Velma is equal to Fred, Velma will equal to it will print Velma equals to Fred. Now let's see what we get. Else print. None of them are the same characters. So because none of these because this is not true, because none of these are true, it will go to else and print whatever you're telling your program to do. All right, if there's any questions about that, leave them in the chat. We're gonna move on to variables if there's no more questions. Also, reminder. Yes, thank you for. I was just gonna put it in the chat. We have 30 minutes before the raffle form closes. So fill that out if you haven't. Let's go over variables. So variables is basically a name that represents a value that you can store in the computer's memory. There are some rules that you have to take into consideration. No, no, it's not for account holders. I mean, you can just make one easy, quickly before you fill it out too, if you haven't. All right, variables. So variable rules, like I was saying, we have a couple of rules that you have to take into consideration. Where would I put the break statement? Where would I put the break statement?
Yeah, like on a else or elif, where would I put it?
I mean, right for here, you don't need it.
So when and like in what type of statements and like logic would I be using a break statement?
I know that for when you have loops, like while loops, sometimes people use, yeah, isn't
Okay,
break for
thank you.
while loops. Okay, cool. Yeah, for here, we don't need it. As you can see, my program stops. So if your program, if you run your program and it continuously prints and it's just like an infinite loop, people use break to stop it. More people coming in. All right, yeah, that's a good question. Let's go over variables. We have some rules that you have to really take into consideration. If you don't follow these rules, you will get errors. So the first rule, you cannot use a Python's keyword as a variable name. So you can use print, for example, as your variable. That shouldn't be your variable. Your program is gonna get confused. It will think that you're trying to print something, but you're using it as a variable. It will not work. So you cannot use Pythons that are like built-in keywords that are already part of Python as your variables. The second rule, a variable name cannot contain spaces. So you cannot have a variable like cat Milo. So as you can see that red curly line, it's basically telling you, what are you doing? What are you trying to say? This is not correct. You cannot have spaces. Let's go over the third rule. The first character must be a letter through C through A through C, or A through C in using caps lock, or an underscore character. So for example, do I have any examples here? Yeah. So for example, the first character of your variable cannot be 1. So you cannot do 1 Milo. 1 Milo equals cat. You will get those curly red lines. But you can do underscore Milo equals cat, for example, and it will work. Here it's giving me an error because there's already this variable right here. Also, guys, something important. Python is case sensitive. Will you use camel case for Python? Camel case. Camel case. I guess you can use it. Yeah, it doesn't. But what I'm aware, I don't think that's a function. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. So, I mean, some people do use it, but it's not. Okay. Um, okay, so moving on. Yeah, so we're gonna go over that. Yeah, we're in rule 3. just make sure, remember, Python is case sensitive. Python is case sensitive. So for example, that cat right there and cat, lower school cat, hello, they're different. They're different. So if you print cat, you're going to get Milo. But if you print cat with everything lower space, you're gonna get hello. So make sure you don't confuse that. It's case sensitive. So it's two different variables right there, even though it says cat. Let's see what else. After the first character, then you can use letters, digits, or underscore. Yeah, so after you have included a letter or an underscore, then you can use your numbers and whatever else, right? So A1 Milo, something like that. Let's see, cat. That works. That's not even Milo, it says Hilo. Okay, so then it's basically just telling you, okay, after you have included a letter, then you can include your numbers and your grammar. All right, I have, let's see what we get. Actually, no, I'm not even done. The fifth and last that we will go over, uppercase and lowercase. Oh yeah, I went over that. Uppercase and lowercase characters are distinct, meaning variable cat and cat are not the same. Okay, a little review. If I print this is what I get, cat equals Milo. If you print, you're gonna get Milo, and then print type will give you the class type. So it's a string. We have double quotes. Creating a value with assignment statement. So you're gonna need an equal sign. And this doesn't mean, oh, equals, like 100 equals 100. This is it's just the equal sign, and you're just assigning a value to your variable. So the left side is the variable and the right side is the value we want to assign to a variable. Yeah. No, yeah, keep spamming. We have how much? Okay, you guys still have time to fill out the form. But yeah, here you have your variable, and on the right side you have your value. Well, let me move this out of the way real quick. Okay, we're like halfway. All right, so let's have some more examples. Here I have my variable name, color, black and white, age, 6, and then I'm gonna do some print functions. If I run this, I get Milo, black and white, 6 weeks old, and that's my cousin's cat. So yeah, here I'm just calling the variable cat that I previously assigned. Then I have print color, where I have a string, black and white, and then an integer for age. And he's just 6 weeks old. Here, if you're getting a little bit confused, here I'm calling the variable, which equals 6, and then printing weeks old, and this is what you get. All right. You can also redefine variables. So basically, you can change the value that you previously assigned. So if you have cat equals Milo and you print it, but then you're like, okay, cat equals Milo instead. If you run this, it will change it will go with the last change that you included. So let's see. So yeah, if we run, you first get Milo and then you get Milo. Okay, here it says, even though Python allows you to do this, is not recommended since it will lead to more problems. So basically this is just saying you can literally just assign the same variable to 6 and print it again. Print cat equals 6. But this is not recommended because it's not really part of like your variable. You can just get confused. Hello, I just took someone. I'm not sure what's going on. All right. But yeah, this is not recommended that you do this. Cat equals 6. That can be a little confusing for you, especially if you're starting out. All right. Moving on. We can reassign variables to another data type. This can be done with casting. So for example, 5 is an integer, but let's turn it into a float. So here I have age equals 6. Yeah, here I'm just leaving an empty line. And then here, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. So we have age, right? In the first section, here in the first section, my data type of 6 will be an integer. But then if I change it, age float, age, and then you try to see the type of that variable, let's see what we get. You get a float. So here, pretty much we're just changing, reassigning the variable to another data type. This is helpful when if you're trying to do conversions and things like that. All right, moving on. If there's more questions, leave them in the chat. Let's see. All right. All right, if you want to change one data type to another, you can use casting methods. Okay, so fingers equals 100, print fingers and print type. Float equals 5, so, and here fingers equals float, and then fingers equals string, and then fingers equals bool. When we run this, we're gonna get the first 10, and here you can see how the data types work and how they're different. So for float, you will have a decimal. String, you're just gonna get a 5. And for booleans, even though you print fingers, you're just gonna get a true output. The reason why this returns true is because it is not a value that equates to 0. Let me move that up there. Equates to 0, such as none or quotation marks. Oops. Okay, it's just covering my screen. Okay, testing none, 0, or quotation marks. So let's print this real quick. Fingers equal bool none. If we're printing here, we're printing the variable, and we're printing the data type. And then fingers bool 0, and we're printing it again and the data type. And then bool open quotation marks, and then the variable again and the data type, and we get false. Like I said, here it will return a true because it is not a value that equates to 0, such as none or 0 or quotation marks. Okay, already went over that. 1 second. Okay. Done. Okay, moving on. Casting will not work for conversions. So for some conversions, if you're trying to change from string to integer or from string to float, and we're going to see some examples. So for example here, string to integer conversion. Let's run that. You're going to get an error. And it's just because casting doesn't work if you're trying to convert your data type from string to an integer. All right, let's do the second example. A string to float conversion. If we run that, we're going to get an error. We cannot change from float. We cannot change from string. If you have a string, so just like a name or words, if you're trying to convert it into a decimal, right? Like it doesn't really make that much sense. You're going to get an error. Okay, so moving on. Unless the string itself represents a desired data type, this will work because there's a number in the string, in the string. So let's run this real quick. If we print integer string 100, it will still work because the data that you're inputting, it's related to the data type you're trying to use. So that's going to work. All right, if there's no questions about that, we're gonna move on to input functions again. It's like a little overview. If there's no more questions, I'm going to move on. We have about 14 minutes before the raffle closes. So if you haven't filled that out, highly suggest. It is important that you guys are present during the raffle. So just stay with us a little more and let's see who the winner will be. All right, moving on, input function. All right, input function. Programs commonly need to read input typed by the user on the keyboard. We will do this using the input functions. Well, we will do this using the input function. I'm repeating myself here. So we have a format if you're trying to do the input function. Yeah, we are announcing winners today. So we have our variable. This is basically just explaining the format. Variable equals input and whatever prompt you want the user to do. So here, input, enter your first name. So if we run this, enter your first name, the program will be literally asking the user, whoever is behind the computer, please, whatever the prompt you included. The prompt we included is enter your first name. And that's going to be Ari. And it's just going to print it back, okay, Ari, cool. And this is the format. Variable equals input and whatever you want the user to do. All right, moving on. We'll be able to take this information, assign it to a variable, and then do something with that variable. If we run this, okay, name, input your first name and last name. Okay, Ari Torres. Here we are just printing the word hello plus the variable. So what is this doing? This program is just basically prompting the user to enter their first name and last name. Whatever the user enters, that will be saved on the variable, which I am later then calling on my print function, which is why I see hello, Ari Torres. If you have any questions about that, leave them in the chat. Okay. The print statement above uses concatenation to combine the elements. Now, you can only concatenate a string with another string. For example, if you want to combine a variable that holds an integer with a string, it will give you an error. Raffle's closing at 1:30, so if you haven't, why haven't you? Okay, let's run this. Print Milo is +6 plus weeks old. And yeah, so like it says here, no, you can only concatenate a string with another string, which is why we're getting an error. All right, let's see what other examples we have. You can get around this by turning the element into a string. So if you're getting an error here, Milo is 6 weeks old. Why is it not working? All right, we can just convert that 6 into a string like we were doing previously. So print Milo is 6. Well, 6 weeks old. And you can get around it by doing that. Okay, let's see what other examples we have. You can also combine variables with a comma. For example, A equals I am, B equals bored. If I print A comma B, I am bored. And I really hope that's not you right now. Okay, let's see. When will you use string? You mean strings again? I'm confused on that. When will you use strings? str. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you can use strings for sentences. So like, for example, if we're trying to, like on the input function that we're covering right now, this is a string. If you want your program, if you want the user to see an output from the program, asking them to do something, then you can use a string. Enter your first name. You have to use a string here if you're trying to include a sentence on your program. Enter your first name, Ari, which I can see here, the user can see, and then give you the right type of data that you're asking. I'm not sure if I answered your question. But yeah, we use strings for a lot of things. For variables, for printing. So in order to print Milo is 6 weeks old, I need to use strings. Milo is 6 weeks old, and that's my cousin's cat. Okay. All right. If you do this with concatenation, you'd have to convert. You would have to convert the number into a string. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's see. Print. This is just like another a parameter that you can use on your program if you're trying to make your output look better. So let's look at this first line of code. There's a bunch of commas, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just pay attention to that. On our second line, then we have a parameter called set equals, inside of my quotation marks, a comma. And then on the third, I have another string, which is just an arrow, indicating of an error. Now, when we run this, we'll see what I mean. The first line of code does not include commas, even though on your program you have commas here. If you want to include commas on your print, then you can use the second example. You want to include commas on your output, then you can do the SEP parameter. And you can play around with this, honestly. The third line of code, we're just doing an arrow. And as you can see on my output, 1, arrow 2, arrow 3, etc. So that's just like something in there that you can use for your output. Okay, there are many other cool things that you can do with the print function. You can use this to see, you can use this to see the other parameters if you're interested. So if you want to know more of like the other print functions that you can use this on your code and see what you get. Let's see what we get. Help on built-in function print in module buildings. And this is basically just giving you more information. So like the one we covered was SEP. There's also N, flush, file. So if you're bored at home, you can just play with this and see what output you get. If there's no more questions about that, we'll move on to lists. And we are pretty close to our ending, so bear with us. It's also important that you stay here for the raffle, right? It wouldn't be fair if you just come in, use the raffle link, and leave, right? Okay, so let's go over lists. And someone just left. Okay, so a list is an object that contains multiple data items. They are mutable, which means they can their contents can be changed. Okay. Yeah, so lists are mutable, which means their contents can be changed during the execution. So here I have a variable name characters, and I have Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Fred, and Daphne. And then I will print the type of characters. So if you get confused, what is this doing? What is this? You can do the type function. Yeah, and your output will be class lists. Is this just telling you, okay, yeah, you have created a list, and your list is called characters. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see more examples. Lists do not need to be contain. They don't need to be the same type of data if you're trying to do a list. So we have unknown, we have Shaggy, some numbers, a Boolean, and another string. I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah. And then I'm just printing back my list, and this will be my output, my list. All right, let's see. Since lists are ordered using indices, we can access elements in the list using them. What are indices? So here's basically an example of what we're trying to explain. You have 3 minutes to submit, yeah. You can also access elements backwards through negative indexing. When we perform negative indexing, we start from -1 and not 0. So chop chop. Yes. So yeah, so if you're doing positive indexing, and I already answered just nothing. Is there, oh, I'm sorry. There's just like a lot of messages. Is there order and unordered lists? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you're trying to. UL and OL. Like I know in other languages they use UL and OL. Well, lists are ordered. So if you're trying to get a specific data from your list, you need to use indexing, specifically indexing to get the specific data from or a specific character in your list. And we're gonna go over that in a bit, like with more examples. So like I'm saying here, yeah, so they are ordered using indices. And you can also access the same data type using negative indexing. And this is basically here the positioning. So if you're trying to get A, you can do 0 right here or -5, right? So let's just go over this. Alphabet is my list. And then I have A, B, C, D, and E. And these are my positionings. When I print this, let's see what we get. Print alphabet 0, alphabet 4, -5, and -1. My output, AE, AE. So basically, this is just telling you, you can use positive and negative. But why would I use negative? Sometimes people like to use negative indexing. So for example, like -1 to get the last item on your list. So imagine you have like a huge list and you don't have time to go over and try to find what the positioning is. You can just do -1 and you get the last one. Something to note is when you're doing positive indexing, you start with 0. But if you're trying to do negative indexing, well, there's no -0, right, in mathematics. So we're not doing -0. We're doing -1. Something that it's good to note because a lot of people get confused with that. All right, we have 1 minute till the raffle closes. If you haven't, please, honestly, if you're really into not Python, coding, highly suggest. Now, if you feel like you're not even going to use it, then maybe let other people that really wanna win do it, right? Let other people get it. Okay, raffle form is closed. If you did not, um, the reactions are killing me. Okay. All right, let's do another example with lists, right? And we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Bear with me. We have variable called characters, and we have inside my list, we have Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Fred, Daphne, and Milo, of course. You cannot leave my favorite cat, of course. Of course not. Milo, of course. Is there reactions for me, honestly? Okay, so we have some examples, just some examples of indexing. It's just me, this right here, the second line, third and fourth is just me trying to get a specific character and its positioning. So when I run this, let's see what we get. First, I printed my whole list, right? And then I have Scooby, Daphne, and Milo, of course, right? So let's see. Characters, 0. Scooby is assigned to 0. He's the very first character, and indexing for the first character is 0. Now, if we do characters 4, we get Daphne. So if we count 0, 1, 2, nope, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we get Daphne. Gotta have Milo first. I know, right? It was just like, should have. Actually, you know what? Let's move it. Because why not? Milo, of course. Let's run this again. Milo, of course, at first. Then why is Milo -1? Huh? What are you trying to? I'm sorry. Is this a question?
Yeah.
What about Bravery? So what do you mean? You're trying to do, you mean like before? Why is, oh, I'm sorry, I moved it. So here, yeah, let me run this. Why is Milo -1? That's what you mean? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is just basically two different ways for you to do, get characters. You can use positive indexing or you can do negative. Let's just go here. If you're doing negative, this is the positioning. We don't start with negative, with -1 on the left side. We go from -5, -4, -3, -2, and -1. So, oh my God, I keep moving things. So here, if you're trying to get E, you can do -1 or 4. What is the chat saying? What about it? Doesn't work. Okay, not worth it. Okay, okay. So, okay, yeah. We can use -1 if you're trying to get the last character on your list, which is what we're doing here, right? Milo is -1 because that's just another way for using negative indexing to get the last one. But you can also get Milo with positive indexing. So 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I change the -1 to 5, I will still get Milo, of course. Of course. I hope that answers the question. All right, moving on. Another way we can access elements, I'm sorry, is through slicing. We can achieve this by using a column. There is a special case we must make note of when slicing lists. The index number we put after the column will not be included basically. So let's just print this. So what is this doing? It's like a lot of words I don't understand. So print characters from 1 to 4. My output, Shaggy, Velma, and Fred. Actually, let's do this to make our lives easier. All right, so I'm slicing from 1 to 4, and I'm only getting Shaggy, Velma, and Fred. So we know Scooby is 0, Shaggy is 1, so 1 is included. And then we go Velma and Fred. But take a look at this. Scooby 0, Shaggy's 1, Velma is 2nd, and Fred is the 3rd. But why is Daphne not included? Well, our rule of Python, if you're slicing, you will not get the last value you include here. You will not get 4. You will get up to 3, if that makes sense. You will get only from 1, your output will only be from 1 to index 3, basically. If y'all leave before we have the raffle, yes, we're still in your raffle position. No, it's important that you stay here, but we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. All right, I hope that answers your question. Moving on. If we only, so we have another example here. And we have a comment explaining. If we only have a column within the slicing notation, we will get a copy of the entire list. So this is just a way for us to print, another way to print the list. You can just do print characters or the whole list using slicing. So yeah, Scooby, Shaggy, Velma. This is printing everybody here when it's empty. All right, let's do more examples. Our same characters from 3 to empty and from empty to 3. What do we get? I feel like, I mean, it's better if we include this. All right. So from 3 to 0, we get Fred, Daphne, and Milo, of course. So 0, 1, 2, we get from slicing 3, and then everybody else. Everybody else. This is what this is doing. From slicing, from index 3, not slicing 3, from index 3 and everybody and their mom. Now the second part, we're doing empty to index 3. And then we get Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma. Remember, Scooby is 0, Shaggy is 1, and Velma is 2. Here we're not including Fred because on the right side, that value will not get included. It will only get included up to 3. Not up to 3, up to 2. So you will have index 1, index 0, index 1, and index 2. Okay. Any questions about that? No questions. Any questions? Preguntas? No preguntas. Okay. More examples. There is a third parameter to slicing that exists that allows you to skip elements. No, señora. Señora. Yo no me tengo preguntas. Señorita. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Stanley. Calling me señora here. Okay. Let's see what's happening here. What is this stuff? Like we covered previously, this is printing everybody and their mom, included in characters, right? But what is this weird indexing procedure? So here we have 2 columns and a 2. And our output is Scooby, Velma, and Daphne. Does anybody know what this is doing? Don't look at the comment. Does anybody know what this is doing? And now we have crickets. Every second, every day. Okay. Printing 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. You mean index 1, 2, and 3? 1, 2, and 3. 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 1, 2 So remember Scooby? Scooby is index 0. And Shaggy, index 1. And Shaggy is not included here. I'm talking about the second, I'm sorry. Maybe you looked at the first. But no, Scooby is in the 0. Then we have Velma. And then we have Daphne right here. So what is this doing? This is looking, basically this is looking at the entire list, going from the beginning. Scooby, yes, of course. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, skipping, yes, it's skipping from 1, so it's going 0, 1, 2, whoop, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and there's a second, there's not anymore after Milo, of course. So professional, yeah. No, you're good. We're having fun here. So yeah, this is basically just skipping by 2. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, and Milo does not get included. He is being skipped, unfortunately, and there's not a separate another character for us to include. So it's going to stop at Daphne. If you have questions about that, like I've said, put them in the chat. All right, moving on. Lists are really good to use because they are mutable, which means you can change the data within them. So let's see what happens if we try to add another character, right? So this is just my previous list characters. Let me use my mouse. My previous list character, and nothing has changed here. We're gonna print before characters, right? No, this is not even here. Let's include Bogle. I think that's how you pronounce the name, Bogle. Do we remember Bogle? Bogle? I don't know how you pronounce that. Let's run this. Okay, so we have before our list, right? Without, let's just include to make our lives easier. We have before, nothing changed. And then here I come and say, let's take character index 4 and let's equal that to Bogle. Now let's print after and see what my character list looks like. All right, my before list, and now I have Bogle instead of Daphne. Can you believe that? We no longer have Daphne here. We have Bogle index 4. So remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is basically what just this program is telling you. They are really good. Lists are really good because you can change your list. You can add people, remove people, and do a bunch of things. All right, moving on. Let's go over some list methods. Okay, so they have numerous methods that allow you to work with the elements that you contain. Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So let's see. Yeah, they lists have numerous methods that allow you to work with the elements that they contain. Python also provides some built-in functions that are useful for working with lists. So let's learn about this stuff. The append method is commonly used to add items to a list. So here I have my, oh, we have a new list of characters. We have Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Toad, and Yoshi. Then here I'm just printing before, my list before, and then my list after. Okay, how much do we have after? Okay, we have a couple things together. So let me hurry up. So here, look at this code. Characters that append Donkey Kong, right? We're gonna add Donkey Kong to our list. When I print this, let's see what we get. Before my previous list, and now look at this. Now we have Donkey Kong when we append. Another method is the pop method that allows you to remove an element at a specific index. Yeah, we here is just appending to the last. Appending to the last. And here, let's see what we get when I do pop equals character pop 4. Let's see what we get. My list before, and who did we remove? We removed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my God. Toad is no longer with us. Oh yeah, it's right here. I print popped the character that's no longer with us is Toad. Move on. Oops. Run, sorry. Okay. Okay, so here we have another method. It's called the index method that allows you to find the index of a specified element in the list. So if you're trying to see the index positioning of speech, this is what you do. You declare a variable, characters, index speech. So that index speech is the method we're now covering. If I run this, yeah, this is basically just telling you, okay, her positioning is 2, 0, 1, 2. That index to find speech index. All right, we also have sort method. It rearranges the elements of a list so they appear in ascending order. This is very useful for mathematical operations. Let's see. My list, here I have 9, 1, 0, 7. It's not ordered. So my list before, and then here I'm doing my list that sort so that I can put everything in order. Here I'm printing after and my new list. This is more functional, more so we have a len. So I didn't include that, but len is basically returning the length of the sequence. So if I have a new variable called size equal len in my new list, it's just going to tell you how big. Let's print this real quick. Okay, so it's not order at first. It's all over the place. After I do my list that sort, empty parentheses, now it's ordered. Here in this section, I am just pretty much counting the length of my sequence. And it's telling me, okay, you have 10 numbers. All right, let's see. This also works with, this does not only work with numbers. You can order list based on alphabetical order. So if I have Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Toad, Yoshi, when I print it, it's going to order it based on the first, second letter they have, alphabetical order. If you have any questions about that, leave them in the chat. All right, second method, and we're almost there, guys. Reverse method. It allows you to reverse a list. Let's print this real quick so we can see it. And let me add space. So we have variable characters, Mario, Luigi, and everybody. Before, this is my list. And then if I do characters that reverse, open parentheses, it's going to reverse my list. So the last character was Yoshi. Now it's my first one. Toad is my second one. Daisy is my third. And that's pretty much another method that you can include if you want in your notes and stuff. Okay, there are many other methods for lists, but those are pretty much popular ones. If you want to know more, you can go to this website and they have more resources about list methods. If there's no questions about that, we're going to move on to tuples. All right. What is a tuple? A tuple is an immutable, immutable data structure that is used to store collections of data and is ordered using indices as well. We use parentheses instead, because in list we have brackets. And for tuples we use parentheses. So let's do the same thing, characters, parentheses, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and then I'm going to print my characters. Now I have a tuple. We can extract data from tuples like we did with lists. So this is pretty much the format, print characters and the index. You can also do negative indexing. So if you're trying to get the last character, you do -1. And then from 1 to 3, Luigi, Peach, and the third does not get included. It's up to 3. Yes, Christina. Ari. You said Ari. Okay, cool. All right, move on. Tuples are different than lists because they are immutable, which means you cannot change the data within them. So let's try to do what we did with Peach. I think it was Peach, right? 0, 1, 2. Yes, Peach. Let's try to add Bowser. Because they are immutable, we cannot substitute Peach with Bowser, and you're gonna get an error. Since tuples are immutable, they have limited methods, not like lists. All right, so the count method number returns the number of times I can't read, of times a specified value occurs in a tuple. So let's print this real quick. So I have an array 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you do array, I think I forgot how you pronounce that. Okay, array that count 1, number 1 appears 3 times, and that's going to be pretty much your output. So you're just telling the program how many times. I want you to count how many times 1 is in our it's included on the sequence. 3, yeah. Yeah, it's like 1, 1, 1, 3 times. Okay, moving on. The index method allows you to search for the first index of a specified value in a tuple. Okay, have array. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, if you're trying to find, like we did before with lists, if you're trying to find the index of a specified character, you include it here, and it will tell you, okay, 0, 1, 2, and 3. 2 is index 3. Even though there are multiple 2s, so you have 2 and 2, 2 2s, only the first 2s, the first 2 index is displayed. Only the first 2 index is displayed. If there's no questions about that, we're gonna move on to dictionaries, and I believe that's, nope. Okay, we're almost there, y'all. So we have dictionaries. Raffle form, no. Okay, dictionaries is an object that stores a collection of data. An element has 2 parts, so we have, for dictionary, we use curly brackets. Remember, list, it's just brackets. Tuples is parentheses, and dictionary, curly ones. It has 2 parts. It has a key, right here, a key and a value. Let's print our dictionary. So we have Mario 10, Luigi 9, Peach 11, Daisy 8, etc. All right, we can also display dictionary in this way, which is a more common to see in the industry. It's like better for your eye as well. So Mario, this also works the same way if you print it. If you want to get a specific value, you must use the appropriate key. So yeah, pretty much if you're trying to find the strength So if toad has a value assigned, if you're trying to get the value for toad, this is pretty much what you do. So if we look at our previous dictionary, toad has a value of 5. And that's how you can get it. Okay, let's find the amount of no, this is like previous code. This is another example, right? Example. What am I? I don't think Bowser. Yeah, so here Bowser is not included, which is why we're getting an error. I'm trying to print the value of Bowser, but Bowser is not here. So I can literally just not include that. That's why I'm getting an error. Oh yeah, this is part of it. Okay, since Bowser is not part of the dictionary, we will get an error. To avoid getting errors about invalid keys, we use the get method to bypass this. So let's print what we get. Yeah, so before I was trying to see the value of Bowser, how I don't know, maybe his strength, the value the characters are assigned, but he's not there. So I'm gonna get an error. It's basically the program telling me, oh well, he's not here. What are you talking about? So if you're trying to avoid this, you get Bowser if you're trying to get the value. Because he's not there, your output will be none. There's none. Okay, to add a record into a dictionary, we can use the new key and assign it to a value. Let's finally add Bowser to the dictionary. Let's run this. So print, this is my before, right here, before, this is my before dictionary. Now I am trying to add Bowser. And as we can see, Bowser, it's added at the end of the list and it has a value of 10. To delete a record from a dictionary, we can use the del keyword. All right. Let's delete him again. So if I print this, my before with Bowser, right? Now if I do del dictionary Bowser and I print dictionary again, Bowser is no longer with us. He wasn't invited. Okay, to change a record from a dictionary, we can reassign the value using the key. Okay, let's print this real quick. Yeah, so if you want to change, basically, let's say Mario had 5 before. Well, he had 10 before. And now I want Mario to have a strength of 20. Let's say Mario ate a super mushroom and he got big. Now Mario has a value of 20. And this is pretty much what you need to do to change it. Dictionary, Mario, let's change that to 20. Okay, to see all of the keys in your dictionary, we can use the keys function. Let's print that. Dictionary keys. We have only Mario, Luigi, and they do not include their value, their strength. Now, if you want to see all of the values in the dictionary, you can do values function. So pretty self-explanatory, keys, values function. If we print this, now we see Mario 20, 9, 11, 8. To learn more about methods, you can please visit this website and it has some more resources for you. If there's no questions about dictionaries, I will go over sets. Okay, a set is an unordered collection of items where every element is unique. We use the set parentheses function to initialize a set. All right, so cards equal set. We can also initialize them by using the set function on a list or by populating curly brackets with values. So let's print this real quick. So yeah, you can do You can do parentheses or you can do curly brackets. That's basically what this section is saying. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assigned to cards. Let's see. Sets are one of the most important data structures in Python because it can only contain unique values. So let's print this real quick. This is my before and my after. So here the add method allows us to add an element into the set. This is it's already there. Let me see. What do I get? Yeah, okay, that's better because previously it was the same thing. It looked like this, so didn't really. Now, if I add 6, it will be at the end, as you can see before and after. The remove method allows us to delete an element from the set. So let's run this real quick. We have before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and cards that remove 5, it's deleting 5. And this is your after. Can you add something to the beginning of the set? That's a good question. And I am not sure. Hold on.
Copy that.
I'm sorry?
Bro, eat the food. Eat your food, you know? This is like honey eating everything I can face. It takes it all away.
I cannot understand what you're saying.
Yo,
Alright.
look.
All right.
Tell me
If
now.
you
She doesn't have a cute face.
okay, please unmute. Okay, please unmute. Mute, not unmute.
Look,
Mute if you don't have.
Listen, so
Hello, can you please mute yourself? All right. What? All right, moving on. Sets are also important because they apply directly to set theory. Let's see what we're doing here. The difference method returns a set that contains the difference between 2 or more sets. Okay, let's run this real quick. Print dot A, difference B, and then print B, difference A. So here we have let me see. Okay. So here, this is basically just saying what values are not in B. And we do that by using that difference. And what values in B are not in A. And this is how you do it to get the difference. 1 and 2 for the first one, and 5 and 6, pretty much. All right, moving on. The intersection method allows us to see what 2 sets have in common. Yeah, so pretty much this is explaining intersection. When we run this, if you're trying to see what they have in common, that intersection A, that intersection B. If we look at the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, the only things that are in common are 3 and 4. Okay, the union method returns the union of sets. Let's run that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here, this is just combining the 2 sets, which is why 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are not part of A, but now that they are all combined, 5 and 6 are also included. There are many other methods that have that you can find on this website if you're more curious. If there's no other comments, we're gonna move on to functions. And I believe That's the last part. We're almost there, and then we're gonna see who the winners are. Christina's still here. Okay, cool. All right. Functions. We have been working with functions previously on these examples. All right, functions are groups of statements that exist within actually no, we haven't. We have done like print functions and things like that, but this is pretty much a different type. Is Efaz here? Let's see. Nope, he is not. But I think he will be left. He will come back. All right, functions. So we did like print functions, input functions, but these are pretty much you creating the function, what you want that new function to do. And we're gonna go over that. Python has built-in functions, but now you can create your own. Let's do an example here. So yeah, so the format is they are defined using the def keyword, so def. If you're trying to create a new function, you have to do def and then greeting. Okay, so this is pretty much the format. I have def, my function name, and a parentheses. That's okay. We're glad you're still here. Now I have print hello world. To use a function, we call it by simply stating the name of the function and its parameters. Since these functions have no parameters, we can simply do this. So if we print this, we have hello world. So yeah, with the function, this is pretty much what my function is doing. Is I created a new function and it's just doing hello world, printing hello world. When I call my function, that will be my output. Okay, let's see more examples. We can also put parameters into functions as well called positional arguments. Let's run that. We have greetings name. Hello, my name is name. So this is my function I'm creating called greetings. Greeting, not greetings. And then I have a name. So let me show you. You can have greeting empty, right? Hello, my name. Oops, no. But pretty much like if you want this function to work, you have to include a name, a parameter. So Milo, of course, right? Milo. My name is Milo, of course. My name is Jenny. My name is Christina. Let's have Wiley back. And they are my associates. So hello, my name is Wiley. Hello, my name is Jenny. Hello, my name is Christina. But that's pretty much I knew this was coming. Okay, here. Inferior. No, she's not inferior. She's one of the good ones. Here. Hello, my name is Christina. No, but you are included. Actually, let's include also, guess who? Milo, of course. Boom. What's your height? Oh my God. Going wild. All right. So we're gonna really have this conversation again. 1.5. All right, moving on. Okay, moving on. If we don't specify the correct parameters, we will get an error. Oh yeah, like what I was trying to do. So if I leave this empty, I'm going to get an error. Because why is that? Because with the function, you have a parameter added here. You need a name that you have to include. So this is printing hello, my name is, but if you're missing the name, then you will get an error. Let's add Christina back before she yells at me. There we go. Christina. All right, let's move on. If we don't specify the correct parameters, we will get an error. I went over that just literally right now. To take that input into account, we can add a keyword argument by using the equal operator. So let's run this. Hello, my name is Milo. So this is basically just like a different way to do it. Reading, name equals Milo. You can have spaces, don't be like me. My name equals Milo, print my name is name. This will still work. So there's like many ways. Oh, now we're talking about height. Yeah, so there's many ways to do this, honestly. You can do it like this with a parameter, or you can just include it here. This is good because that way you can include multiple outputs. Here, we only have one output. All right, moving on. We can also have multiple parameters in a function as well. So define intro, name, and toy. So my function here is doing all of this. I have to include a name and I have to include a toy. When I'm calling intro, Milo is for the name and Cat Tree Tower is for the toy. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Milo and I love my Cat Tree Tower. Yeah, so that's like another way to work with functions. Since these are positional arguments, the order in which the arguments are given matters. So pretty much if I print this, my name is Cat Tree Tower and I love my Milo. So it's important. It's just basically saying you have to do it in order. So if you have name first and then toy, you have to include name first and then toy. Otherwise, you're gonna get something like this. That doesn't make that much sense. All right, move on. We can also have functions return a value that can be used for other uses. So let's run this. We have, I'm defining my function area. I have parameter length and width. Return length and width. Now when I include my values to area, and I am just assigning those variables to, so assigning 5 to length and assigning 8 to width, and then everything gets added to A. If I print the area is A, I get the area is 4 because of this formula right here. If you have questions about this, let me know. All right. Oh my God, we're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. You have class in 15 minutes. I think you still have a couple. We're almost there. This is the last part. So, okay, so to wrap up, yeah, this is basically just another example. I'm doing the same thing I did previously. Length, width, and now I have, probably by the end of today, we'll post the recording. So we have length, width, and height. Returning, I have my formula here. Can you do raffle? Wi-Fi really bad here. Hold on. So let me just wrap up. We have length, width, and height. That's my formula. 10 is added to length, 4 to width, and 9 to height. When I print this, the volume is 360. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have finished our Intro to Python. Thank you so much for coming. Now it's time for the prizes. Woo, you made it. Honestly, you made it. Thank you so much. We have made it. You can now you can now include that you are a Python beginner on your resume. You're welcome. Okay, so I see. Gracias, señorita. You're welcome, señorito. This was really helpful, Ari. Thank you so much. Of course. All right, so let's see if I can. I don't think Evas is coming. So let me see if I can stop my chair. And I'm gonna try my best to see. Let's see if we can do the raffle. It wasn't supposed to be me, but right. Okay, I don't think I think I can we can stop recording.